Shabbat Shalom. We are going to manifest destiny by following the commands of Adonai and surrendering control. Everyone, let's do that together. Surrendering control. Remember one High Holy Days I had you all do? Let it go. Everyone, let it go. Feel yourselves letting it go. Now it's going to do surrendering control again. Surrendering control. How many of you have a problem with that? Yeah. Let's do it again. Surrendering control. Everyone at home, let's do one more time. Surrendering control. Shabbat Shalom. We have actually just come out of the most negative 3 weeks in our Judaic calendar. So, in the last 3 weeks, has anyone felt totally overwhelmed with doom and gloom and all kinds of crazy? Okay. We also have Mercury retrograde. It always happens around the same time, coming into play, but it always prepares us for our High Holy Day work. So they do happen around the same time and they lead us right into High Holy Days. But what's exciting about this week is we just had the culmination of the 3 weeks leading to Tisha B'Av, and that is the worst day in our calendar when all the terrible things happen to the Jews, a lot of them. But then, as we do in Judaism, we move in the cycle of darkness and light, of birth and death and love and all that. And we have Tu B'Av. So Tu B'Av, our Jewish Valentine's Day, is coming this weekend, and we are going to be having an exciting trip to the museum to see Ketub Boat at the Skirball Museum. So if you haven't told us, please let us know if you want to join us. And then we're going Sunday, right? And then we're going to try a new deli in the valley. So all of you at home, even if you're across the country or around the world, because I don't know the 100+ people of you that are watching, we would love to have you join us for our social events and the things that we do to celebrate God and being Jewish together. So, in between, what did I tell you? Tisha B'Av, Tu B'Av, we have this Parsha. This is what we have. We have the commandments being given for the second time. Okay, first time was in Parsha Yitro, second time is now in Vaetchanan. So everyone say it, Vaetchanan. So the commandments are repeated, as I had said, for the sake, actually, the first generation had their issues, right? Of the second generation after the Exodus. The first all but died out in the wilderness, in the wandering, unable to grasp their inherent potential and to manifest their destiny. So let us all, we did this one High Holy Days as well, open up our fists, close them. So when we go out into the world and we have our fists closed, feel it. What does that feel like? And then if we release, we surrender, we let go, and we open up, do you feel like you are more able to receive? We are wanting to receive. Look, we can receive the air conditioning, the light of the Shekhinah and the divine surrounding us. So that's what we want to do. So the ancestors that we had were not able to let go. They were holding so tightly to their slave mentality as they wandered. So it's up to the next generation to lead everyone forward, to manifest destiny. Their children would be the ones to carry the torch forward and the mantle of Torah. The fifth commandment, honor your father and your mother, takes on a whole new meaning when you think about the burden and the blessing placed upon the next generation to conquer and settle a new land, one that their parents could only dream of, only try to imagine. God is seen as our ultimate parent, Avinu Malkeinu, our Father and King, Shekhinah, also with the divine feminine aspect of God. But so too was Moses considered a parent of ours. He led Bnei Yisrael, the children of Yisrael, of Israel, forward. And yet we have to remember, he too was a child of God. He pleads at the beginning of this parsha. He had a lot of aggravation with us. We were not easy. Are we an easy people? We are a smart people, but sometimes we are not that easy, especially when we go together in a group of 30 to a restaurant. But we were stiff-necked and we did things that we weren't supposed to do. Why? Because we were children. We had to learn our lessons. We were trying to grow. So Moses pled with God, saying, "O Lord God," this is at the beginning of our parsha, "you who let your servant see the first works of your greatness and your mighty hand, you whose powerful deeds no God in heaven or on earth can equal, let me, I pray, cross over." Think of what we read in our Siddur. "Let me, I pray, cross over and see the good land on the other side of the Jordan, that good hill country and Lebanon." He didn't get to do it, did he? Well, it's an example. We don't always get what we want. Have any of you ever experienced that? We can wish, we can dream, we can strive, and we can sometimes feel like we are doing everything we can to manifest the future that we feel befits us. But sometimes we are just not in charge. You know the saying, God laughs while we are busy making plans? Well, sometimes we cannot understand why our will does not prevail. But there is a plan and there is a purpose beyond what we can see or sometimes even reach. The journey, as we have said, is just as important as the destination and the lessons learned along the way. We talked about this last service. Someone recently asked me, how in the world did I make the transition to become a rabbi? And I said, every step I ever took prepared me for today. Actress, singer, adept at improv, growing up with a mother who was a preschool teacher, having to be there with her before and after school, all the way until I could drive, being there with the kids, and then one day later on doing the same finger plays and a lot of the same music with my children in the preschools at different synagogues. Every step led the way toward a destiny that I could never have dreamed of, totally unseen, and a journey planned by something much higher and much greater than little old me. When we are amidst the journey, it is very hard to know how things will go. And it's only until we get to the other side that sometimes we can look back and understand. That is the great thing about aging, because we get wisdom. I remember one of the greatest things my mother ever told me is, when you turn 60, Dee Dee, you don't have to please anyone. You can just do whatever you want, as long as it's legal. So we get to go forth in our journey with some wisdom when we go through the knocks and the trials and the tribulations and the obstacles. And when we let go and we surrender control, because we don't know what we think we want, we might get later on down the line when God deems we are actually ready. Because if we got it too soon, what could happen? We could blow it. We might not appreciate it. Exactly. So there is a plan. Moses looks back in this parsha and he recounts the entire journey throughout all of the other books, everything that's happened, and then now going into the current book of Devarim. This book contains a rerun of everything. And on this Shabbat, as I said, we get a rerun of the commandments. And in the Torah, when you get something a second time, even in the same verse, that means you better pay attention. You got it twice. So we are a people of honor, and we are a people of memory. We can keep, but to remember adds a whole other dimension to the experience, to the very act of remembrance. Remembering is like an exclamation mark at the end of a very important sentence. To keep, and in this parsha, there's a difference between keeping Shabbat and remembering this Shabbat. That's what we're told by God. To keep could happen once, but to remember redefines the experience in our consciousness, as well as redefining the experience in our physical and our emotional memory. To remember is to recreate. To keep then has many more layers of importance. When we remember, We connect to the past times that we shared, the moments, both the good ones and the bad ones. But the very act of remembering allows that experience to live on within us, around us. In the case of Shabbat, we were commanded in one parsha to keep Shabbat, and in the next one in the commandments, we are commanded to remember it. But in this parsha, when we think about remembering, we want to think about linking all Shabbatot before, all those thousands of years, to all of the Shabbatot yet to come, and us with them. What does that look like? How will that feel? What will the world be like? What are we manifesting by surrendering control? Let's do it one more time. Surrender control. Surrender control. I see some of you are like this. Let's do it. Surrender control. As we go forward, let us be grateful for our moment at the mountain that we remember at this time. As you know, it is said we all stood together before, and that we are all brought back together again now to be together, to recognize, to keep, and to remember that moment, as we will do in a little bit tonight when we chant some of the commandments. We stood there hearing the peals of thunder and the terrifying splendor. So let us think about what that might have been. And let us think about, really ponder this weekend and over Shabbat, what does it mean to keep and what does it mean to remember in our own lives? As well as times when we wanted something so desperately to happen that didn't. How many of you were ever in middle school or high school or college and you just wanted that one person to see you or recognize you and it didn't happen, and then went on to find someone much better later on? You never know what can happen, what's right around the corner. So what we think we want may surprise us. We may get something much better. Or we can make something happen that shouldn't. And then we have chaos for a very long time. Who's ever done that? Okay. So we want to let go, we want to surrender, and we want to think about what it means to relinquish control, what it means to think about when things turned out better than we ever could have imagined. So let us remember all our ancestors and those who came before us and the sacrifices that they made along the way for us to go forward, even the people in our own lives. Let us continue to carry the torch and the mantle of Torah into the future, and let us remember and honor our ancestors as well as our ultimate parent. May the commands lead us along our way, and may our journey be manifest in accordance with God's higher plan. May the wars and the strife and the confusion and the chaos that we endure now not only matter, but be for something higher, something greater that we just can't see right now, that we have to have faith about, so that we can then one day look back and remember the legacy and the truth and the justice that we fought so hard for. Why? In order to keep moving forward. Keeping the legacy and Torah relevant and alive for all time. May it be God's will. Shabbat Shalom.